Thank you for choosing BSI for UKCA certification. We want to process your certificate as efficiently as possible. In this short video, we'll just run through a few tips to help make your application for UKCA go through smoothly. Our certification is based on the evidence that you put forward in a technical file. To avoid an iterative evaluation with stops and starts, it's important that you include all the required documents. The contents of the file will vary from regulation to regulation, but here's a list of the main requirements. So include a description of the product, which will be a combination of a written description as well as technical drawings or pictures as appropriate. It may also be necessary to include bill of materials or details of any components. Details of your organisation should include the registered address of the company that's placing the products on the market, as well as all your production locations. These locations aren't limited by your company corporate structure. If you are subcontracting production outside of your organisation, you'll need to include documentation of how you're monitoring the quality of the items that they produce. Your claims of conformance are supported by test reports and certificates. The test reports in your technical file may be from other accredited organisations or could be something that you have commissioned to BSI to undertake as part of your application. If the test reports are not yet available, then you might not be able to finalise your technical file just yet. So you might be requested to provide your technical file with a placeholder for the reports, or you may be asked to submit the technical file when you have all the documents together. If your product comprises of components, it may be appropriate to provide certificates for these. Providing you have permission, you might include certificates belonging to your component suppliers. I'll cover the declaration of conformity a bit later in the video. Essentially, you'll need to ensure that you're claiming conformity to the applicable UK regulation. For the marking and user information, you'll need to demonstrate exactly how and what you'll mark on the product. The designated standards, where available, are often a useful resource to ensure that you've included all the required information. Last on my list is control of the technical file itself. Now this is going to include the pagination, amendment record sheet, the file contents list, and of course a designation for the technical file itself with a revision number. All technical files and any documents used to support your application need to be in English language or a translation provided. It's important that we are evaluating documents that come from you, rather interpretations that we might make using software that often struggles with PDF type documents. This will apply to the entire contents of the technical file used to demonstrate conformity to the regulation. So this includes the test reports, assessment reports, and any relevant process documents, such as your quality plans. The UK regulations are technically similar to the EU regulations or directives that you might be familiar with. The underlying UK designated standards are exactly the same as the EU harmonised standards. The reason for this was to enable a smoother transition as possible, so businesses like yours can adapt. The UK regulations and EU regulations, however, they are different documents, and you need to make sure that throughout your technical file that you're claiming compliance to the correct regulation. For the most part, you'll just need to replace the name of the EU regulation or directive with a designation of your appropriate UK regulation. You'll need to update your product marking, and you'll need to produce a new declaration of conformity to the UK regulation. For holders of existing CE certification, the technical files that you're adapting for UKCA may be quite old. It's possible that since your last certificate application, your situation may have changed or technology may have moved on. To give some examples, your product may have changed slightly due to supplied components, value engineering, or other improvements. Your quality system may have been updated with new production technologies or even an alternative manufacturer location. Whilst that may be an issue for your existing certificate with whoever that might be with, for now I'm only going to focus on your current UKCA set application with BSI, as we're keen to get things right from the outset. If we do find an issue with the technical file and additional evaluation activities result, such as testing or a site visit, it's likely that the time to complete the project will be more affected by this discovery than had we known about it from the outset. This is because everything we do is scheduled and subject to a lead time before we're able to start. So if we find that we have to undertake some extra activities, these lead times will apply at the point in which these activities are assigned. All this will compound the delay of the necessary additional evaluation activities. So certainly I'd encourage you to check the currency of your technical file. Existing products will often have a long and storied past, as they've been developed and tested over their life cycle. This can present a strange paradox that new products with a single recent test report can be easier to demonstrate compliance rather than long-established and proven products that have a complex web of partial test reports relevant to incremental product updates. The easiest way to overcome this is to identify the purpose of each of the test reports in the technical file. So just some examples, you could do this in the form of a cover page to accompany the report section, or something like a development timeline elsewhere in the technical file. These are just suggestions, of course, and you can do this any way that you find appropriate. But by doing so, it might just save the need for our reviewers to contact you and confirm any ambiguity to avoid any pauses in your project. You may even find this type of explanation document is useful within your own organisation, as people responsible for the technical file may change. Lastly, I'd encourage you to check the sample selection and document requirement on your quotation. Durations on the quotation are dependent on receiving these items as detailed. We're keen to deliver your project on time, but that's going to be dependent on the samples and documents being available. We can't do it without you. Thanks again for choosing BSI, and we look forward to working with you.